I guess the first thing I need to do is describe to you, if you don't know already, what a varied convex grind is. I was inspired to do this grind when I started looking at Randall knives. They have what I would call a varied grind, where the height of the grind varies from in front of the scales to a fairly low height to a almost full height towards the tip of the knife. Randall's grinds are a sort of flat grind, or even a semi-hollow grind, a very shallow hollow grind. And my grinds are convex. I believe the advantage to this grind is that it sort of makes the knife an all-around utility knife. It's sort of a jack of all trades and a master of none. Whenever you work with the steeper part of the bevel, the lower height that's right here in front of the scales, this is the toughest part of the knife. And on a narrower blade, it's even tougher. I'll show you here. This is a Soldier River, and you can see how the blade height or width, whichever you like to call it, is less on the Soldier River. It's a narrower blade. So this lower part of the grind is it makes the knife even tougher on this narrower blade. The wider blade you get, the more slicing part of the grind you have available to you. From here on out, the knife is more suited to slicing. From about here back is your tougher part of the grind for say you want to concentrate your batoning strikes here on this part of the knife. This is the tougher part of the edge. On this one, you can see that the full height grind starts about right here. So this part forward is more of the slicing part of the grind, and this part back is the tougher part. So obviously this narrower blade is going to be more suited to say bushcraft and a hard use than the wider blade like this. This knife would be more suited to game preparation, camp chores, things like that. Some guys really like the Scandinavian grind, like a flat Scandinavian grind that goes to a zero edge. And some of those users might like this grind better than, say, a full height convex, because it has a steeper bevel here, not nearly as steep as like a flat grind Scandinavian, but it's closer. And they might find it more comfortable transition going to a convex if they started out with this sort of grind. But I prefer the varied convex grind in all my using knives, just because it is so versatile. Like I say, it's not a master of anything really. So it's not a specific tool to one task. But that's kind of what I like about it, because I can take my dogwood, like this one for instance, with a varied convex grind, and I can do decent with game preparation, gutting in the field, skinning on larger game with this part of the knife, camp food preparation with this part of the knife, and I still have a tough area right in here that I can baton with, or I cut in notches on my fireboards, for my hearths, for my bow and drill, and on some of the harder woods, it's not easy to get that notch cut in, so I baton the notch in with this part of the knife, and it holds up really well. So enough about that. What this video is really about, should be about, is how to sharpen this grind. I've had a lot of questions on it, and people have been wanting to know if there's any difference in sharpening this grind versus, say, a full height convex. There is a slight difference. It's not any harder, it's just a little different. And it'll be obvious whenever I show you the difference. But sometimes it's better and it's easier to have a visual. So that's what I'm going to do here. This is a customer's knife, and I do all my sharpening by hand. I don't sharpen on the grinder. Not that I have a problem with that or a preference against it. It's just how I choose to do things. I choose to sharpen by hand. So instead of ruining the blade finish for the customer, I sharpen a micro secondary bevel in all my customer knives. That way I don't drag the face of the knife across the sandpaper and screw up the finish. So this is a customer's knife, so with this one I'm going to show you how to properly, or how I think a convex should properly be sharpened using the whole face of the bevel. But I'm going to use this sheet so I don't screw up the finish that I worked hard to get. So you're going to just have to use your imagination and imagine that this is a mouse pad with sandpaper on top of it. Here's the only difference sharpening a varied convex versus say a full height convex. On a full height, if you watch my other videos, you line it up with the plunge line, you lay the knife flat, the spine is touching the sandpaper, and you drag it back, and then you rotate it up until you hit the edge. You can watch that video if you haven't already. The only difference between that and this is you can see this grind line where the varied convex goes from low to high. Basically, you want to keep that grind line straight up and down, or as straight up and down as you can get it in relation to the mouse pad. Or if it's easier, you can follow the plunge line. You can just place the plunge line right on the edge of the mouse pad to where it's flush with it, and you can see at the angle that sets the knife at. So you lay it down where the spine is close or touching the sandpaper, and you just do the same motion. You drag it and then lift. And when you hear it and feel it touch the edge, that's where you stop lifting, and you just keep bringing it backwards. Bring it back, stop lifting when you hear it hit, and keep dragging. And then for the tip, do the same as you would with a full height. You just rotate it along the distance of the tip. Raise the butt of the knife as you do it. Or you can just come out here like so, drag it back, and when you feel the edge hit and start grinding on the sandpaper, that's where you stop lifting. So there's really no difference except for the angle at which you lay the knife on the sandpaper. The easiest way to remember it is just to line the plunge line up with the edge of the mouse pad. That's all there is to it. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope it was clear enough, and hope it kind of dispelled some of the apprehension maybe towards sharpening one of these. It's easy. It's just a little bit different than normal.